Hello, I hope you will all join me in welcoming the host of today's webinar, Why Chess Matters, Carey Fan. Carey is the CEO of ChessKid. Today, Carey will discuss how chess has impacted the lives of kids all around the world and why it's important to not fully rely on technology to teach kids the positive values of chess. During the presentation, please type any questions you may have in the chat box, and at the end of the webinar, we'll get to as many as possible. And with that, I will turn it over to Carey.
Great, thanks, Kaylee. Hi, everyone. My name is Carey, and I'm the CEO of ChessKid. ChessKid is the world's #1 site for kids to learn how to play chess. So I thought I'd share with you why I think chess matters. I'm going to switch over to a slide deck that I put together. And we will get started. Okay. Again, my name is Carey. My background is a startup guy, always been involved in technology. And I wanted to ask you, how many people on this screen do you recognize? My guess is that most of you recognize at least 4 people on this screen. Now, what do they all have in common? Any guesses? Well, you probably guessed right in that all of the people on this screen, Clay Thompson, Jane Fonda, Bill Gates, Madonna, Lennox Lewis, and Keanu Reeves, play chess. Some of them more seriously than others. It might surprise you that Madonna, for example, played chess constantly in the early 2000s, and she was virtually addicted to the game of chess. All of them have said that chess has helped them in some way or another. So I wanted to do a quick puzzle to get things going here. And for those of you who have played a little bit of chess, you might be able to figure this out. But this is a puzzle that kids as young as 5 or 6 years old would attempt to solve, okay? Now, the first thing you probably want to ask is, well, what's going on here? First of all, whose move is it? Clearly it says it's White's move. And you have to ask yourself, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Now, if you look here, for those of you who know how to play chess, you might notice that this queen, the black queen, is the only piece that's defending this bishop. But it's also the only piece that's defending this rook. Now, if some of this is over your head, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So if you're to take a guess, maybe you might think, well, if I take this white bishop and capture this bishop, the queen would be forced to recapture it, which would leave this black rook completely undefended. And if I take that black rook, I would win a whole rook. Now, what did we just do? We actually went through a few different steps here. We had to ask ourselves, what was the problem we were trying to solve? We guessed at what might be the right answer. We had a theory about it, and then we experimented, and finally, we had a conclusion to figure out whether or not that outcome turned out the way we thought it would turn out. And what we just did is really a mini version of the scientific method. And in my view, chess puzzles are the perfect way to have a miniature science experiment. There are many other advantages to chess, and what I like to say is chess is really like a super framework, if you will. You may not be able to see this on top, but it says countless benefits and a super framework. So here are some of the advantages of chess. It teaches you critical thinking, science, calculated risk-taking. It helps you enhance your memory. It teaches you math concepts, geometric concepts. But at the heart of everything is to teach people and teach kids how to make the right decisions. I teach chess part-time just because I think it's fun. And one of the simple things that I teach kids when I'm teaching them is, when you're looking at a chess position, stop, then think, and then decide. Okay? A lot of the problems that kids struggle with, and I'm sure many of you know this very well, is impulse control. And you cannot fight impulse control unless you're making a conscious effort to stop, then think, and then decide. And one of the great things about chess is that no matter what the outcome of a chess game, there is a positive outcome. So for example, chess at its heart is a social interaction. And the best way to learn how to play chess is actually with other kids. So kids playing against other kids, kids talking about the games while they're playing, making it a fun and interactive exercise. And when both kids are doing this, that's when you get the most value out of chess. Well, when you're playing against each other, you also learn the value of sportsmanship. It's common for chess tournaments between kids that before the game starts, there's an introduction between the two kids and a handshake. And while a kid is playing the game, the kid must learn to be patient and to exercise his impulses, his or her impulses. There are consequences to making bad moves, and no matter what happens, a child learns to be accountable for what has actually happened in the game, because chess is a complete game of skill. If you make 40 good moves and you make one really bad move and you allow your opponent to win the game because of that, you must be accountable for that. On the other side of the coin, if you have identified your opponent's poor move and take advantage of it, you can win, and you also are responsible for winning. In either case, there is a good outcome because there is growing confidence on the side of the child. And as a child learns to go through these steps and repeat them, the confidence continues to grow. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a longitudinal study that was done by Tennessee Tech University and the University of Alabama together. And they actually had chess launched into this experiment. And they were studying kids around the ages of 6 years old all the way up to 7th and 8th grade. And here's what the teachers thought at the end of this study. 64% of kids were better at making decisions, and this was not applying just to chess, but overall. 75% were better at strategic thinking. 73% were better at thinking critically, and you can read the rest there. These are remarkable results. But the more interesting thing was that these results actually had more pronounced effects when the kids started at a younger age. Okay. Some of you, many of you who school your kids at home want to give your kids age-appropriate activities to do. And many of you might even think, well, what is the right age for my kid to learn chess? And what we've actually found is kids, this was even a discovery to us, kids as young as 4 or 5 years old could actually learn and understand quite complex concepts in the game of chess. Now, here's an example of kindergartners who are learning through different chess lessons using our online platform. This is a real picture of kids in Alabama. Now, you might not think of Alabama as a hotbed for chess, but it really is. And you'll notice here that all of the kids in this photo, they're girls. This is a girls' chess team. Now, these girls are not only super high achievers in the classroom, they all play chess, and they have a girls' championship every year. So in the state of Alabama, there are some 6,000 or 7,000 kids who regularly participate in chess tournaments. Here's an example of the transformative power of chess. Now, I don't need you to actually read through this whole thing, but this is an example of young Jonathan Martinez. Now, Jonathan is a special case to ChessKid in particular because his mom actually works for us, and she actually wanted to work for ChessKid, particularly because she found some transformative powers of chess and how it affected her son. Her son was painfully shy, did not like to interact with other kids, very, very quiet in front of adults. But because he started to play chess, it unlocked a whole new world for him. Jonathan is now a straight A student. He is also a very accomplished chess player. And you see in this top right photo, he is actually teaching an 83-year-old student. So Jonathan is the teacher. And here in this photo, where you can see him interacting with kids, he's at the local Y, where he regularly teaches kids how to play chess. Here's a different photo. Now, my guess is that out of the 7 people here, you might not recognize any of them. Some of you might recognize one of them. These are all people here who are very accomplished in one way or another. Now, on the top left is Josh Waitskin. He first learned chess when he was a 7-year-old boy, and he became a world-class strength player who parlayed that knowledge of chess. He wrote a book called The Art of Learning, and then he became a world-class martial artist in not one, but 2 martial arts disciplines. The gentleman at the top, he is a world-class cricket player, and he was also a very strong chess player when he was a junior. The girl on the right, she was a girl in this photo, but she is now a young woman. Her name is Fiona Mutesi. If you've watched the movie The Queen of Katwe, you'll know her story as somebody who rose out of poverty and learned to use chess as a way to rise up. She is now on a full ride scholarship at an American university. The gentleman on the left was a linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He now is a very serious chess player. He did not pick up chess until he was an adult. And he is also studying for his PhD in mathematics at MIT. This young gentleman in the middle is an 8-year-old boy from Africa whose family was homeless, but he recently won the 8 and under New York State Chess Championship. An incredible story. Woman on the right, her name is Ho Yi Fan. She's one of the strongest female chess players in the world, but more impressive than that, she attended Harvard University, and she is currently a Rhodes Scholar, studying for her Rhodes Scholar. Gentleman at the bottom, Peter Thiel, he's the co-founder of PayPal. So this is also an example of how these people have parlayed or have taken advantage of chess to rise up or do something remarkable in their lives. Now, chess competes with a lot of activities, not the first of which is other digital activities, video games, and some of you probably will recognize this sort of image where kids just love to play video games. And let's face it, technology is here to stay. But chess is really an over-the-board activity at its heart, and we'd like it to stay that way. Still, we do have to recognize that technology is here, and you need to use technology to kind of supplement what you're doing in your physical day-to-day activities. So I can't see what it says here, and you can't see what it says here, but I want to ask you to think about for a minute, what are your chess goals, either as a parent or for your child? Is your chess goal to turn your child into a competitive chess player? Or is it to find and understand the lessons of chess and apply it to different areas of your child's life? I would say that if you want to get the advantages out of chess, the best advantages out of chess, the first thing to do is to simply start playing. Start playing with your kid. Get your kid to play with other kids. Buy a chess set. Chess sets are very, very cheap nowadays for a high quality tournament caliber chess set. It's about $10. Join a chess club. Find out if there's a chess club around your area. It could be at a school, but the chess club may be open to students who don't even attend the school. If there isn't a local chess club, think of starting one. Think of starting a club. You yourself do not have to be a great chess player to really start a chess club. All it takes is some dedication. I actually didn't start playing serious chess until I was 16 years old, but I have used chess as a framework to model my decisions throughout life. Here's a quick blurb on ChessKid. We are the #1 site in the world for kids to learn how to safely play chess. Over 1 million kids play using our site, over 2,000 schools, and over 25 million games of chess have been played on our site. So with that, I wanted to say a quick thank you. I realize this is very brief, but I really just wanted to give you a brief understanding of how I see chess in the world and how it has shaped my world a little bit and how I see the benefits of chess really helping kids. So Kaylin, I would love to take questions from the audience.
Wonderful.
If there are any questions out there.
So I'm gonna kick things off here, and I'm just curious, like, what in your role as a chess teacher, what has been the most profound experience you've had watching a child learn how to play chess?
Well, the most profound experience, and I kind of touched on this a little bit in the presentation, was the fact that you have kids who at first have no interest in chess, don't have a lot of confidence in their own abilities, think that chess is going to be too difficult. But then when you deconstruct the different parts of the game, you show them how fun it can be, that confidence starts to blossom. One of the first kids that I started teaching was a very young boy, and he had very little confidence in himself and his own decision-making. By the end of the chess class that he took with me, his mother had enrolled him in a local tournament, and he actually won his tournament, and his confidence is through the roof. I've seen, and this is just one example of the profound effect it can have on a child's confidence. And when I teach kids chess, I also try to apply it to different areas of their lives. It's not just learn how to play chess and learn how to be good at chess. It's learn how to use that quick decision-making framework. Stop, think, and then decide. Okay. I'm going to open up these questions here. What program is good for kindergarten? How about a teen? So if you're talking about different chess programs, if you're talking about electronics, obviously I'm biased, but I would recommend ChessKid. We are the only platform that has a comprehensive suite of lessons that will take you from beginner to actually competent chess player. And even though a kid can learn and play in a chess club at a school or playing against other kids in the neighborhood, oftentimes you want to continue to cultivate that interest in the game. And if you don't always have time to play or interact with your child in the game of chess, let your child learn and continue to learn. I recognize that there's a balance of screen time, but let your child learn on ChessKid. That's one of the best ways. I'm reading here, I'm a mom of 4 and I've never played chess. I'd love for my kids to learn how to play chess. ChessKid is the perfect way, and I'd recommend playing and learning along the lessons with your child at the same time. There are a number of kids who have ADD who somehow they really gravitate to chess. And it's a way that they've been able to harness all of that energy and really focus. It's just unbelievable. I myself play in a chess tournament every year. It's called US Amateur Team West. And there are more and more kids playing chess. And a couple of the parents have shared with me that their children have ADD or ADHD. And chess was one of the only ways they could figure out to get their children to really focus. And it's just remarkable. You have a kid who's fidgeting all the time, who can't keep his attention on anything, and yet you put him on a chessboard and the results are astonishing. That kid can just sit there and concentrate in a 4 or even 5-hour game. Okay.
So I have a follow-up to that. If you do have, a parent who, sorry, this is more at the beginning about a parent who's never played before, referring to your balance of screen time. So if I want my child to learn how to play chess and I don't know, but I am concerned about how much time they're spending on a computer, what would you say is like a good screen time budget for learning how to play chess?
For learning, especially in the very beginning, Kaylin, when a child is learning how to play, you want to keep the lessons brief. And if you're going, I would say introduce your child to the game of chess with a physical board first. Some of the parents out there may have some knowledge, may even be very strong chess players yourselves. And I would fight the temptation to have a long, drawn-out lesson with them. Okay? And then use screen time as a way to supplement the over-the-board play. Now, on ChessKid, all of our lessons are very, very short. Okay? So, for example, we start our lessons off at like pawn 1, as an example. And the pawn 1 lesson will be maybe a 5-minute video on how to move the rook. And after it teaches you how to move the rook, it will ask you 2 or 3 very, very simple questions to the user to demonstrate that the child has actually understood the lesson in hand. Okay. So I actually, if you don't mind, I actually could log into ChessKid very, very quickly and give you a 30-second look.
Oh, please do. That would be wonderful.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, take your time. I see some of our attendees are very excited about this as well.
Okay.
Are you wondering why chess is more exciting than checkers? Well, for one thing, some of the chess pieces can move a lot farther than they can in checkers. Today, you get to be a rook. But wait a minute, I want to be a fireman. Okay, you can be a fireman later in life, but today, I just want you to be a rook. The rook can move in 4 different directions. The rook can go up. The rook can go down. The rook can go left. The rook can go right. And for any of you kids out there that like to read maps, that would be north, south, east, and west. The rook has lots of choices here. The rook can go just a little bit or all the way to the edge of the chessboard. So my rook can move up 1, that's possible, or all the way to the edge of the board, or the rook could have stopped somewhere in between. For example, the rook could have gone up 2 squares or even gone up 3 squares. It would have been your choice. Of course, you can't go off the edge of the chessboard. That would be crazy. In this position.
Okay, so that's a quick demonstration of what one of our lesson videos might look like. I just gave you the first minute or so. Oops, so we're having issues here. And after each of those videos, you could demonstrate your learning by solving or answering a couple easy questions. And as your child progresses through the lessons, he or she also gets promoted. So every child starts off at pawn lessons and then can graduate all the way from pawn to knight to bishop to queen to king. And there are just a million different ways to interact with the site. So in the beginning, Kaylin, to get back to your question, how much screen time is appropriate? I think it depends on the age of the child. In the beginning, if you're trying to have your kindergartner learn how to play chess, I would say probably no more than 10 to 15 minutes at a time. But as your child is a little bit older, if your child is a little bit older and you want to give him or her some independence to go through lessons on their own, I would say maybe 20, 30 minutes is appropriate, especially if the child is 10 years old, 11 years old. Obviously, it is up to the parent to decide what makes the most sense.
Awesome. And then do you, this is a two-parter, do you have a way for chess students to compete against each other via the platform? And if so, how do you make sure they stay safe online?
Absolutely. Great question, Kaylin. So our platform allows real-time play so kids can jump on and find an opponent. That opponent could potentially be anywhere around the world. So there's almost always somebody who's available instantly for your child to play. Most of the games are quick games, meaning that the games should last no longer than 10 to 12 minutes for a full game. It depends on the time settings that the child selects. In order to stay safe, we do not allow any chatting of any form on the website, on our site. In fact, the only form of child-to-child communication on the site is when the child is actually playing a game, we have canned emojis or canned sort of, saying hi there or thank you or good move or interesting. Those are the canned forms of emojis or canned forms of communication that the child can send to the other child on the other side of the screen. So there's absolutely no free-form chatting. And safety is very, very important to us. We recognize that. We don't allow any of that.
So if my child is learning chess online with ChessKid, how can I transition them to playing chess in the real world and have those real life interactions?
That's a great question. So I think you as a parent will have to ask yourself, what do you want your child to get out of chess? And I think it's really critical that you have some interaction with real children, not just playing online all the time. Some kids are shyer than others, but I would say the earlier you can get them face-to-face with other children, and don't make it a competitive, serious thing. The earlier you can get them involved in interacting with other kids, the better. Now, if your goal happens to be, well, I'd like my child to become a tournament-ready chess player, I would say it probably would require you to go through 30 or 40 some odd lessons, and for your child to be confident enough to play in an actual tournament setting. There is, I will be frank with you, quite a big difference between casual play and tournament play. In tournament play, there are pretty strict rules for how you must play the game of chess. There is something called touch move, which means if you physically touch a piece, you must move the piece. This is actually very, very important, and I use it to teach impulse control to my students, because when you get a physical board in front of a kid, the obvious thing kids want to do is touch the pieces because they're tactile. They want to feel and touch the pieces. And you tell them to make a move, and they will grab the very first piece that they can get their hands on, even if it's the wrong piece. So I would say casual play, get them involved and talking to kids and interacting with other kids right away. Tournament play, you probably want to go through 30 or 40 different lessons on ChessKid, get them acquainted with the different strategies, the deeper strategies. And every child is different. Some children take to losing in quite a tough way. You want to make sure your kid is ready to understand the consequences of losing a game, because invariably your child is going to lose. The best players in the world lose tons of games before they become strong players. And the first tournament, if you're not mentally preparing your child for it, can be challenging, because when the child loses, they often will sort of judge their worth based on their results, and that's not what you want to tell the child. You want to get them used to the process. The results will come as they are getting better and better at the game. So just enjoy the process.
So before I keep commandeering this, I want to encourage again everybody to type questions in the chat box, and we will get to you ASAP. But in the meantime, considering everything you just said about tournament play and the stresses involved, is there a lower age you would suggest? Hello there. Is there a lower age you would suggest a child, a minimum age you would suggest for a child competing in a tournament? I'm assuming we don't want 4-year-olds under that level of stress.
Yeah. My personal comfort level, again, it's really more I would say it's more dependent on the maturity level of the child. And yes, 4 or 5 is probably a little young for tournament chess, but I do see children as young as 7 or 8 years old. Some of them are mentally very, very tough. Of course, none of the kids enjoy losing, but I would say 7 or 8 years old is probably a decent time to get your kids involved in scholastic chess, scholastic tournament chess, because there will be many other parents there who are also getting their kids into a scholastic or over-the-board tournament for the very first time. Okay. So 7 or 8 years old seems to be more appropriate than 4 or 5 years old. But again, it's dependent on the needs of each child and what's appropriate for each child. Okay. My personal feeling as a parent is I don't want to shield my child from the feeling of losing, because it hurts. It hurts to lose. It stings a little bit no matter what. But this is a very valuable lesson in life, to understand what it feels like to lose, to take accountability. Some of the best learning does not come during the game of chess, but after the game, when you get a chance or a coach gets a chance to review the game with the child, especially a game where the child lost, and you get a chance to replay what happened in the game, to show the child, well, it looks like you weren't very careful when you moved your queen to this square and you left her vulnerable. And the child will look back at it and think, well, I think you're right. I probably shouldn't have done that. And I allowed my opponent to just take my queen for free. Those are some of the best learning moments. Again, some of the best learning happens after the game actually occurs. So a question from Indira Lewis: does this chess platform have a family package? Yes, we do have different packages depending on how many kids you want to sign up. I don't recall the price off the top of my head, unfortunately, but we do have, because we know that there are families who have more than one child. So we do have bulk rate discounts for families that want to sign up for 3, 4, or 5 members of the family. Okay. Again, my recommendation for how to use it is to go, especially if you have a younger child that you want to introduce to the game of chess, really start the lesson with your child. Interact with your child. It's actually fun. The website is www.chesskid.com. We also have an Android and an iOS app. Okay. The ChessKid website will have a fuller, richer experience, but you definitely can access all the lessons and all the videos via the app as well. We have 800 and counting videos, so we have a ton of content. We've also found that puzzles are extremely popular. One of the stats that I showed earlier in the presentation was 45 million puzzles. That's how many puzzles kids have solved on the ChessKid site. That's a number we're pretty proud of. We expect that we're going to probably break 50 million well before the end of this year. 50 million puzzles solved. So again, I was saying that each puzzle is like a mini science experiment. And nothing can replace true science and true science experiments. But to really get, my view of really getting your children to understand how things work is to have multiple repetitions. And if you can have your child solve 100 puzzles after a period of time, well, each one of those was a mini science experiment that the child was solving. And they got the chance to go through the entire scientific method. No, thank you, Jordan.
That's incredible. And also, I just want to follow up for the pricing question. Co-op members can get 20% off ChessKid when they come to the co-op to purchase it. So it starts at $39.20 for the first student, and then it's reduced every student after that up to 5 students, but it's always 20% off. So if you're looking to add ChessKid to your homeschool this year, we recommend that you come through the co-op and do so. My last question is, if what would be your number one piece of advice for a parent who's just starting to teach their child chess?
By far, the number one piece of advice is to keep it fun. Okay? Keep it fun for your child, because my view, this is my personal view of the world and the way kids learn, is I feel that they learn through play. And chess is a game. Yes, it can become serious. Yes, there are serious and important lessons to get from the game of chess, but keep it a game-like experience. Keep it interactive, keep it light, keep it fun. And as your child becomes more and more interested, your child will take it upon him or herself to start diving into those deeper lessons of chess, the deeper strategies of chess. Okay, so that would be my number one piece of advice, is to keep it fun, because chess, you can turn it into an academic activity, and there's certainly nothing wrong with turning chess into an academic activity, but you want to start out with the foundation of fun. And then as the kid becomes more motivated, your child will naturally become more curious about the academic side of chess. Well, how come this combination didn't work? Or why is the Sicilian defense a more efficient defense than the center counter, than the center counter opening, or something like that? There are a million possibilities, but keep it fun, keep it relaxed, especially in the beginning. Help foster that joy, the joy of learning something new, the joy of learning how to play a game.
That's awesome. Carey, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for allowing your assistant in the background to
Jordan,
join us as well.
That's my son, Jordan.
Hi, Jordan. Do you use ChessKid.com?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does.
Do you play with your dad?
He said he reached my goal for him, because I gave him a puzzle duel challenge on ChessKid. And he actually did reach that goal.
And I beat it almost right when you said.
Well, maybe the challenge wasn't difficult enough for you then,
But
Jordan.
you thought it was.
That's awesome. I bet that felt great to beat your dad's challenge.
He always feels great, because I don't make the challenges easy for him, but I make them just attainable enough so that he'll keep trying.
That's awesome. I love the real world example of how it works. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you everybody who's joined us for this webinar. It's always nice to share a little time with our members. And just a reminder to visit homeschoolbuyerscoop.org/ChessKid, and you can get 20% off if you want to add it to your homeschool this year. I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful day.
Thanks, Kaylin. Thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Bye.
Bye.